Welcome to the seventh edition of the Tower Genius podcast with Kevin Donahue and Steve Casella. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Kevin, I can't believe it's been 7 episodes already. Time flies when you're
Time flies
everything.
when you're fooling around. Yeah, when you're
In the
goofing
minute.
around. But we had an interesting call come in today, and it happens all the time when sites in urban areas say get decommissioned, and the landlord has sent a provision, a notice that that they're going to no longer need the site. This landlord in particular had kind of a crazy provision where it said that the carrier could remove their stuff. It didn't say that they shall remove. And maybe you just want to go into some of the importance on restoration provisions of termination. That it's important for them to get it in writing and to have the power. You can always accept things later on if there was some need or something that you would have that would be beneficial for the landlord to keep. But maybe go into those restoration provisions and why they're important.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's actually absolutely essential if you're presented with an opportunity to amend a lease agreement. If anyone is asking for your consent, the restoration provision needs to be done properly, because you don't want to be stuck with someone else's equipment on your rooftop that no carrier needs. It doesn't matter what they're telling you. When they're offering you, you get your decommission letter, say, hey, Mr. Landlord, Mrs. Landlord, we'll give you $25,000 if you leave our junk on your roof. That's just going to become your headache, your responsibility. You're going to have potentially people going up there to steal things from you. It's a huge liability. Get it off my roof. It doesn't need to be there.
Get it out of those lines or those antennas, right?
So you don't need everything. I would leave structural steel up there, Kevin. I mean, you don't need the antennas. You don't need the cabling. You don't need the telco boxes. A lot of those get resold in third world countries, by the way. But you could leave the dunnage on the roof. Maybe you want to put some air conditioning equipment up there, or you want to put a jacuzzi and a bar or something, for sunbathing purposes. But you don't need that equipment.
Sometimes some buildings are always looking for extra storage, just a place to put like shovels and stuff, and they can put if they have a prefab building up there, say an old Verizon or Nextel site, those buildings would have worth maybe to keep for those circumstances. But if they're not, I always recommend that people would take it out if you don't think that there's any need. But the bigger thing is, even when you're dealing with how many people have we seen get stuck with major costs for removing towers, right? Not just the rooftops, but we've had landlords who, the carrier or the tower company convinces them they're abandoning this site, and they don't want to pay to have the steel taken down. So the landlord, they get the landlord to think that they're going to be in the tower business now, be making all the money and attract 3 or 4 carriers.
Kevin, I had North Dakota offer me. He just wanted to give me his tower for free last year because he was stuck with it, and it was a naked tower, basically no tenants on it.
And many times within a year, you have to take them down if they're abandoned.
Acre of land with the tower. I'm like, what am I going to do with that? No, I can't. Sorry, it's not going to be my responsibility when some crazy person decides to climb on it to take a selfie on Instagram.
Or the municipality knocks on your door and says, hey, it's been abandoned for a year or 2 years. Time to take it down. That was part of your zoning approvals. And when the code states that, now you're stuck with a $40,000, $50,000 restoration and removal of a tower, right? So, even though the guys who are knocking on your door to finalize some of these termination provisions may seem like nice guys, you have to be really careful.
Right. At the end of the day, there's 24 items in your lease agreement. This is one of them that we look at. I mean, there's probably never been a lease agreement that Kevin and I have looked at in the past 14 years that we didn't have to make at least a handful of modifications. Even on the ones where the landlord did a great job, there's usually several items that need to just have a little TLC. But it's worth it because you need to be protected as a property owner. And again, the rental price is one component, and a lot of what I've seen, and just from talking to property owners, thousands of cell tower landlords, and that that have talked to some of our competitors. I mean, some of these guys are just out there trying to jack the rent up and completely ignoring 90% of the lease agreement, and that's somewhere
you have to protect your initial investment, your principal. That's the first rule of investment. And if you're leaving open all these other gaps just to make a few extra dollars, in the end, it's going to cost you big time, right, for sure.
So, so removal and restoration, very important provision. Don't leave your cell tower lease negotiation without it.
You definitely seek expert, help on this sort of stuff. But also, people have to understand that there's a lot of things that look great and are totally fine provisions to have in a regular commercial lease when you're dealing with telecom, because of the technical aspects, the actual equipment, how the systems work. You literally could be leaving money on the table or breaking your back in the end by having the wrong provisions in there. That's why it's as great as it is to have an attorney you can trust to look things over. Very few of them have the experience in dealing with the technical aspects of a lease, when it comes to wireless technologies. So, but okay, Stephen, thank you so much for your expert answer tonight, and I like your banner in the background.
I was a kid. I never thought I'd be a cell tower expert, but I guess that's I surprised myself. But remember, talking to Tower Genius will cost you $99, but not talking to us could cost you a small fortune.
And if you end up using our services, and if you end up using our other services that we offer, that $99 gets credited. So many times that initial call really saves you, in some cases, a couple $100,000.
In a world of pain. So let's leave it there.
Okay. Thanks so much, Steve. Have a good evening.
All right.